Imagine you're driving a silent, empty highway at midnight when your dash cam records something you can't explain and you don't even realize until you watch the footage later. The most chilling stories are the ones that don't need special effects. In Road of Nightmares, the Dashcam Horror Iceberg Volume 2, every second of footage is brutally authentic. These aren't actors pretending to scream. These are real drivers, real roads, and real moments when the ordinary turns violently unexpected. That's what makes this chapter of the iceberg so disturbing. It's all true. Picture the hum of tires on asphalt, the soft glow of headlights stretching into darkness. A stretch of highway you've probably driven yourself. No neon lights, no witnesses. Then, without warning, something crosses the lens. A figure where there should be nothing. A sudden flash of movement that feels wrong, like a nightmare slipping into the real world. The driver, oblivious, keeps going, but the dash cam doesn't blink. It captures every detail, a pale outline at the roadside, a fleeting reflection in the mirror, a face staring back from the tree line. Later, when the driver rewinds the clip, the realization hits like ice water. Someone or something was there. That's the power of real-life terror. You can't dismiss it as a trick of the camera crew or a clever CGI artist. This is unedited, time-stamped proof of the unexpected. Each frame reminds you that the road, that vast stretch of supposed freedom, can turn into a trap in an instant. As the iceberg Volume 2 descends, the encounters grow darker. You'll see vehicles that vanish mid-turn, headlights that appear and disappear without a sound, mysterious figures standing motionless on rural roads at 3 a.m. No jump scares, no loud soundtrack, just the quiet dread of knowing that someone else was out there, watching, waiting. For American viewers, it's a nightmare grounded in the familiar. These are the same highways you drive to work, the same rest stops where you grab late-night coffee, the same lonely intersections where you've waited for a light to change. The horror isn't in another world. It's on the road you already know. Professional narration deepens the unease. A steady voice guiding you through each scene, pointing out details you might miss. A shadow by the guardrail, a flicker in the distance, a figure whose eyes catch the dash cam's infrared glow for a fraction of a second. The voice doesn't have to shout. The facts are enough to raise every hair on your arms. This is why Road of Nightmares lingers long after the screen goes dark. The footage is real, the terror is real, and when you finally climb behind the wheel for your next late-night drive, you'll remember every second. You'll glance at the empty shoulder. You'll check your mirrors twice, and you'll wonder who or what might be watching you right now. Beneath the surface of every horror story lies another layer. Colder, heavier, far more dangerous. Road of Nightmares, the Dashcam Horror Iceberg Volume 2, doesn't just show frightening clips. It drags you step by step into an abyss where each level feels worse than the last. This is the iceberg, and with every descent, the shadows stretch longer. The silence grows thicker, and the danger feels closer. At the top of the iceberg are the incidents people talk about. Strange lights, fleeting figures, unexplained accidents. They're unsettling, but they still fit inside the comfort of possibility. You can rationalize them: bad weather, camera glitches, maybe a reckless driver. But that's only the beginning. Drive lower. You'll see encounters that refuse logic. Vehicles vanish mid-frame with no exit in sight. Headlights flare like phantom eyes, then blink out without a trace. A pedestrian appears in the center of an empty highway, arms motionless, face blank, before dissolving into the night. No editing, no trick. Just raw footage that leaves investigators speechless. Keep descending and the temperature drops. Here are stories never meant to be public. Dash cams from forgotten towns. Clips pulled from police archives. Recordings that families beg to bury. You witness sudden stops where the driver is never seen again. You hear faint whispers on audio feeds, words no one can identify. You catch glimpses of figures standing in places no human should reach. This isn't shock for the sake of shock. It's a calculated unraveling. Each layer of the iceberg strips away the safety of explanation. What began as odd coincidences turns into a pattern of impossible events. The deeper you travel, the more you realize the road itself is not empty. For an American audience, the terror hits home. These highways are familiar, stretching through the Midwest plains, weaving past mountain passes, cutting across deserts where cell service dies. You've driven them. You know the endless horizon. The static of late-night radio, the uneasy feeling when your headlights catch something unexpected. Now imagine a presence that grows stronger the farther you go. The professional narration heightens every beat. A steady low voice draws you downward layer by layer. It pauses at the perfect moments, after a sudden crackle of static, after a driver's final breath, letting the silence squeeze your chest. You're not just hearing a story. You're descending the iceberg yourself, powerless to climb back up. By the time the final layer unfolds, you understand why this volume exists. Horror isn't in monsters or myths. It's in what we can't explain, captured by machines designed only to record the truth. The dashcam never lies, and when you drive a lonely highway at night, you'll remember each hidden depth, each impossible figure, each cold shadow that the iceberg revealed. You'll keep watching the mirrors. You'll keep wondering what waits in the darkness just beyond the reach of your headlights. Late night driving is supposed to be peaceful. The air is cool, the lanes are clear, and the rhythmic sound of tires on asphalt becomes a private lullaby. But Road of Nightmares, the Dashcam Horror Iceberg. Volume 2 proves that serenity can twist into terror in a single heartbeat. This key layer of the iceberg exposes the most sudden, unexplainable shocks ever captured on American highways. Moments when ordinary roads turn into corridors of fear. Picture a two-lane blacktop cutting through endless farmland. Only your headlights pierce the darkness. The world is silent except for the hum of your engine. Then, out of nowhere, a flash of movement. A figure sprints across the road so fast the camera almost misses it. You slam the brakes, heart pounding. But when you step out, the night is empty. No footprints, no sound. Only the echo of your own breathing. Another clip begins calmly, a couple driving through a desert stretch of Route 66. Their dashcam records a faint light approaching in the distance. It grows brighter, closer, impossibly fast. Before they can react, the light explodes into the frame and vanishes, leaving nothing but static on the feed. No vehicle ever passes them. Their rear camera shows a barren road stretching for miles. Some shocks are subtle, almost cruel. A quiet mountain road, mist curling across the curves. The driver notices a shape in the fog, someone waving for help. As the car slows, the figure dissolves into smoke. Moments later, the rear camera reveals the same figure standing dead center in the lane, staring as the car disappears around the bend. These aren't cinematic tricks. They are verified dashcam recordings with timestamps, GPS data, and eyewitness accounts. Investigators find no physical evidence. Locals claim no knowledge of accidents or pranks. Yet the footage remains, raw proof that something impossible happened. For an American audience, the terror is painfully familiar. These shocks don't occur in haunted castles or foreign jungles. They happen on highways you've driven yourself. The foggy passes of Oregon, the desolate stretches of Texas, the back roads of Pennsylvania where the trees form a tunnel of black. You know these places. You've felt that late-night unease when the radio cuts out and the sky seems too quiet. The professional narration pulls you deeper into each encounter. The voice stays low, deliberate, never rushing. It describes the crunch of gravel, the sudden crack of a branch, the thud of something unseen against the car. Every pause is timed to make your heartbeat match the driver's. Fast, uneven, ready to jump at the smallest sound. By the end of this descent into the iceberg, the message is clear. No road is truly empty. What hides beyond the edge of your headlights may be closer than you think. And when you next drive a lonely highway at night, You'll grip the wheel a little tighter, watching every shadow, waiting for the moment when silence breaks and the impossible steps into view. Some roads hide more than potholes and sharp turns. In Road of Nightmares, the Dashcam Horror Iceberg Volume 2, the line between real-world violence and something unearthly blurs until you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. This layer of the iceberg drags you into a space where human cruelty and the inexplicable overlap, where true crime and the supernatural ride in the same lane. It starts with incidents the police can document: late-night carjackings, sudden roadside assaults, vehicles that vanish after a high-speed pursuit. Each case is drawn from official reports. Dates, times, coordinates, everything checks out. But the dashcams capture more than human suspects. In one recording, a driver reports being followed by a black SUV on a deserted highway. The SUV tailgates for miles, lights glaring, engine roaring. Then, in a split second, it's gone. No exit ramp, no turnoff, just empty road. The driver pulls over, calling 911. Review of the footage shows the SUV flickering, literally fading in and out before disappearing completely. No patrol ever finds a trace. Another clip begins as a routine traffic stop. A state trooper approaches a stalled sedan. The dashcam catches the officer speaking to someone inside, but the audio is strange. Low whispers that don't match the trooper's voice. Seconds later, the trooper stumbles back, radio crackling with static. The car's interior is empty. No driver, no passenger, nothing. Some of these encounters leave physical evidence that defies science. Claw-like marks on the hood of a car, deep and perfectly symmetrical. Footprints on a dusty road that start in the middle of nowhere and end at the driver's door. Investigators confirm the details but cannot explain them. For American viewers, the horror cuts close to home. These are familiar highways. The endless stretches of I-10 through the Southwest, the misty back roads of New England, the shadowed forest routes of the Pacific Northwest. You know these places. They're part of everyday travel, not distant legends. That's what makes this layer of the iceberg so unnerving. The professional narration heightens the dread. A controlled, commanding voice leads you through each case. Calm, factual, but edged with tension. It names the towns, the mile markers, the dates. It lets the silence after each revelation hang in the air until you can almost hear your own pulse. This isn't a simple ghost story, and it isn't only a crime report. It's a collision of worlds. Real criminals and forces we can't measure seem to share the same dark roads, leaving drivers and viewers caught between fear of what is human and fear of what isn't. When the final clip ends, you're left with a single thought that refuses to fade. The next time you see flashing lights in your rear view mirror or a lone car waiting by the shoulder, you won't just wonder who's inside. You'll wonder what. The descent through Road of Nightmares. The Dashcam Horror Iceberg Volume 2 ends where fear and reality collide. After every unexplained flash, every vanishing car, every whisper in the static, you reach the last and deepest layer. This is the place where drivers disappear, footage cuts to black, and the only witnesses are the cold highways themselves. It begins like the other clips, calm, almost ordinary. A night sky heavy with clouds, a single vehicle gliding along a rural interstate. The dashcam records nothing unusual, until the radio dies and a low hum floods the audio track. The headlights dim for a heartbeat, then flare white. When they return to normal, the road ahead is empty of all landmarks. The mile markers are gone. The horizon has changed. The driver's voice trembles as he calls dispatch. His GPS spins, unable to locate a signal. Seconds later, the camera captures a shadow, tall, thin, unbroken by the car's beams, stretching across the asphalt. It moves without sound. The driver gasps. The wheel jerks. The feed freezes. When investigators find the vehicle days later, the engine is intact, the doors locked from the inside. The driver is never found. Another final clip shows a convoy of 3 trucks traveling together through a Colorado pass. The lead driver checks his mirror. The second truck is there, the third behind it. He looks again. Only 2 sets of headlights remain. No skid marks, no debris. Just a sudden absence. Highway patrol sweeps the route for weeks. The missing truck and its driver are never recovered. The dash cam ends with the leader whispering, "It was right there," before the tape cuts to silence. These aren't legends carried by rumor. They are raw files with timestamps and coordinates, pulled from official archives and reluctant witnesses. Experts review them, searching for rational answers. Equipment failure, optical illusions, human error. But the final layer resists every theory. The footage stands unbroken, daring you to explain it. For an American audience, the terror is immediate. These endings unfold on roads you know. The endless Midwest plains, the fog-choked California coast, the backwoods of Appalachia. They remind you that the journey home can vanish beneath your tires, that a familiar highway can become a void without warning. The professional narration seals the experience. A deep, measured voice recounts each vanishing with clinical precision, pausing just long enough for the silence to settle like a weight on your chest. There is no music to comfort you, no dramatic crescendo, only the sound of the road fading into nothing. When the final credits roll, you're left staring at your own reflection in the dark screen. You'll think about every late-night drive, every lonely stretch of asphalt, every unexplained flicker in the corner of your eye, and as you grip the steering wheel on your next midnight trip, you'll wonder if some roads were never meant to lead anywhere at all. Please subscribe my channel.